You're smart, you know all the things, so why do you still get overwhelmed, especially during the holidays? You do yoga, meditation, breathing, you read books, you can see it coming every year and plan and prepare, and still you end up overwhelmed, stressed out, burnt out, resentful, sick in the new year, or your back goes out. Why? And what do we do to keep this from happening this year? The good news is this has nothing to do with your mindset or your willpower. This is about your nervous system. In this episode, you're going to learn simple strategies for holiday stress relief so you can avoid overwhelm and prevent burnout. Let's go. Years ago, a client said to me, I don't want to lose myself this holiday season. And that really stuck with me because I think that's how many of us feel when we emerge from the holidays. Like someone else stepped in at some point in time, your body double. And maybe it's the angry, snappy, resentful version of you, or maybe it's the shut down, totally disappeared shell of yourself version of you. But at some point in time during the holidays, you get totally hijacked by your nervous system. And here's the problem. When the load exceeds your capacity, your nervous system takes over to help you. First you fight, then you try to flee, and if neither of those work, you freeze or fawn. For women, fawn is a very common response. That's that people-pleasing, can't say no, and it turns you into a shell of yourself where you can't even help yourself get back to the person you want to be. And that's why it's so hard to do the things you know would help you. By the end of this episode, you'll better understand your nervous system and you'll be able to respond to holiday stress, overwhelm, and anxiety. You'll have a menu of simple strategies you can pick from as soon as you start to get tells, signs, and signals from your body. And don't take my word for this, but test me. Test these strategies, put them into practice, and see if you can navigate the holidays with more strength, grace, and clarity. These are not just good ideas. These are the exact strategies my clients and I use when we need quick holiday stress relief. Here's our plan for today. I'm going to give you the 3 signs of overwhelm and then a menu of simple strategies to use when you start to get signs and signals from your body. Keyword is start. Next, I'm going to teach you to know your antidotes, what you're looking for when you do these simple strategies, because you don't want to do things that aren't working. Then I'm going to give you 3 questions to audit your holiday stress response. So holidays add more load, more logistic, more people, more things, more events onto an already busy schedule and an already taxed nervous system. So the holidays are a predictable stress test. You can even use it to build your capacity and widen your window of tolerance. If you look at it this way, it can become a little bit of a game and potentially even more fun. It's at least more interesting. Here are some quick statistics. Currently, 77% of Americans see the future of the nation as a significant stressor. What this tells us is that our baseline stress response is already high going into the holidays. Around the holidays, 28% of Americans say they're more stressed than they were last year. Top triggers include the cost of gifts, family dynamics, and grief or missing loved ones. It's like we've already got a full cup and then we're pouring more stress into it. So things are likely to spill over, whether that is stress, anxiety, anger, frustration, resentment, or grief and despair. Remember, this isn't a mindset thing. This isn't a willpower thing. This is a body-based nervous system response. To help you understand it, I have a batting cage metaphor. So imagine you're in a batting cage. You're being pitched balls at a reasonable rate and you can keep up. It's even kind of fun. It's definitely manageable. But then there's an uptick in speed, and this is kind of what starts to happen at the beginning of the holiday season. Now imagine things get a little more erratic. Things start coming at different tempos. You can't really predict what's coming next. Maybe things are coming at you from all directions. That's how the holidays often feel. And at first, you try to keep up. You do your best. You keep swinging. Eventually, you self-protect. You shut down, go numb, dissociate, hide, people please, whatever it is you do to try to manage what's coming at you. And this is why some women can create all the holiday magic for everyone and feel hollow and empty inside, or resentful and angry the whole time. And then you emerge from the holiday season and feel like you were possessed. And you were to a certain degree, but it's your nervous system trying to help you. And when we have compassion around that, we can start to work with it rather than work against it. Now that you understand what happens with your nervous system as more starts coming at you, let's look at the 3 signs, the 3 markers of overwhelm. Number 1 is increased uncertainty. When you increase uncertainty and increase discomfort, you spike anxiety because your brain treats unknowns like a threat. Then you're hypervigilant, on high alert, and often creating worst case scenarios that are tormenting you. As Guru Mai would say, we are tortured and killed by things that are not even happening. For example, you're on a loop about what Uncle Larry is going to do at Thanksgiving dinner. Is he going to get tanked and start talking about politics again? Or how much sugar is Grandma going to give the kids? Are we going to have another talk about it that spirals into a disagreement? Or travel snafus. There's not only load on your system, but even the whole transportation system. Not to mention the uncertainty of gift giving, gift receiving, holiday parties, and more. While we can't remove all the uncertainties of the holiday season, we can create islands of predictability for ourselves. And that's what we do with our practices. So number 1 is increased uncertainty. Number 2 is sensory overload. The sensory overload's coming from all different directions, from the lights and the music and the crowds, to the way people are driving in the parking lot, to how they're behaving in the supermarket. For example, I moved from Maui to the Bay Area in October 2011. We weren't there very long when all of a sudden the traffic was so intense and people were driving aggressively and we literally could not figure out what was going on. But once we were in late November, we're like, oh, it's the holidays. But people changed like that. And because we hadn't been on the mainland for many, many years, we forgot what the holiday hectic was like because we had literally been isolated on a peaceful little island. So this frenetic energy is real during the holidays, and you want to plan for it and prepare for it. And small micro doses of calm and silence will move the needle and keep you in your window of tolerance. So number 1 is increased uncertainty. 2 is sensory overload. 3 is a lack of bottom-up, body-based recalibration tactics. So we start getting stressed out, we're overloaded with our senses, and many of us will try to think or talk our way out of the stress response. Problem is, your story follows your state, and your thoughts are often a reflection of your nervous system, not necessarily telling the truth about the situation, and rarely helpful to help you change your mind or your nervous system. So what does body-based, bottom-up recalibration mean? Well, when many of us start to get stressed and spun out, we then try to think or talk our way out of it. And that is using the mind, the top, to try to influence the body. The nervous system, the bottom. It doesn't go so well. Think about it. When is the last time you were able to talk yourself out of your frustration or your anger or your despair or depression? This is because story follows state. The state of your nervous system influences your thoughts. So I use my thoughts as an indicator of what's going on in my nervous system. And then I use my body and my movement or things I'm doing physically to influence my nervous system, and that will change my thoughts. That will change my mindset. That will change my perspective. The good news is this is much easier than trying to wrestle with your own thoughts or talk yourself out of something. When you're trying to talk yourself out of something, you're often repressing or fighting how you're feeling and the signs and signals coming from your body. So because you're repressing, you are unwilling to be with what is, so you're unlikely to respond to the truth of the moment. For example, I'm feeling frustrated, overwhelmed. I don't want to feel frustrated, overwhelmed. I shouldn't feel frustrated, overwhelmed. I'm a bad mom, parent, daughter, whatever, feeling frustrated and overwhelmed. So I'm just going to stew and fight and now create a war inside of myself versus I'm feeling frustrated and overwhelmed. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm feeling frustrated and overwhelmed. I'm going to take a break. I'm feeling frustrated and overwhelmed, and that's okay. Do you see how different those are? It's the war inside of yourself that keeps you stuck, that keeps you from doing what you know would help when you need it most. Because instead, you're having a fight with yourself. So have tremendous compassion for yourself. Honor the signs and signals coming from your body. Treat your feelings like important messengers. Another reason you don't do what you know would help you is there's too much friction. It's too complicated. It's going to take too long. It's not the right thing right now. For many of us at this point in time, we often have too many choices, not enough accountability, and we keep putting it off. The eternal later. So I'm going to give you a menu of simple, usable tactics. And when you start getting signs and signals from your body, pick one. Just pick one. Just do it. Try it. See what happens. After this menu of tactics, I'm going to teach you to find your tells, how to identify a daily activity that will inform you about the state of your nervous system. Here are simple, usable tactics. Number one, my favorite and most frequently used, go on a walk. It doesn't need to be a long walk, a difficult walk, a hike. It just needs to be enough to help you reset your nervous system. And the side-to-side eye movement during walking tamps down the amygdala, the fear response. Now, I've been told that the amygdala is slightly larger in women, which is why we often get stuck in negative loops, that we think the way things are now will be how they're going to be forever. It's what I call Chicken Little syndrome, that suddenly the sky is falling. So walking will help you tamp down the amygdala. It also gets you back in your body and your breathing. So endless benefits for your nervous system. Number two, a movement practice. Again, it doesn't need to be long. It doesn't need to be impressive, but just some type of movement that's going to help you get back into your body, back into your breathing. There's a whole neurochemical cascade that comes with movement that'll help improve your mood and calibrate your nervous system. If you want guided movement practices, there are several free resources on YouTube. There is a vagus nerve release mini course in the free intro membership of the 20-Minute Miracles app. And if you have a 20-Minute Miracle Toolkit subscription, some of my favorites are the Nervous System Calibration Playlist, Beauty and Blessings, and Ugly Forward Bends. Isn't that a great name? Next is myofascial release. Myofascial release is amazing for releasing tension in your body. It's low cost in terms of energy. You're going to lay on the floor with some self-massage tools, and it will not only release tension in your body, but it will give you energy back, because tension is costly. So as you release tension in your low back, in your shoulders, in your neck, in your jaw, in your thighs, wherever, you're going to get that energy back. Somatic releasing. We call these slidey glidey movements. They're similar to myofascial release, and that you're going to lay down, you're going to do some gentle stretching, some deep breathing. And again, it's going to release tension in the body, and it's going to give you that back in energy. Better than caffeine. Next are what I'm going to call hands-on meditations. And I got this from a student who is a baker, and she said, baking is kind of like meditating with your hands. And there are many things like this, and they are brilliant techniques during the holidays for stress relief, because you're not sitting, you're not wrestling with your thoughts, you're not trying to control your breathing. You're going to be doing something that's relatively mindless, and it's going to help you reset the nervous system and get into an almost meditative state. For me, baking is great for this. Chopping vegetables is excellent. Wrapping gifts can be meditative, provided you give yourself those circumstances. Other hands-on meditations could be things like pottery, cleaning, braiding your daughter's hair. There are endless options, but find them and use them. Next on our menu are vagus nerve stimulating techniques. Your vagus nerve is like your fast track to cool, calm, and content. You can activate it with head below heart postures, child's pose, hanging in a forward bend, hips on a block and legs up in the air, supported bridge. By elongated exhale, for example, inhaling through your nose, exhaling through pursed lips like you're breathing through a straw, humming, chanting, singing. One of my favorites is Brahmari, inhaling through the nose and then exhaling like a bee is buzzing in your mouth. You can also stimulate the vagus nerve with self-massage around your neck, your ears, your forehead, and cranial nerve techniques where you're following something with your eye. And if you want cranial nerve techniques, check out my friend Diana May. Next technique is microdosing silence and solitude. For example, you come home from shopping and you're going to walk in the door to a house full of kids, a hungry husband, arms full of gifts, a lot of noise. Take a few moments to breathe and center yourself before going in that door. Similar but different. You're getting ready to go into an event or a store and you have the time to be with yourself. Take it. I will often set a timer, kick back my chair, and just breathe and be, and I'm amazed at how quickly I can feel recharged. Last, dance. Dance, 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 dance. The studies on dancing to reset the nervous system and pull us out of negative states is remarkable. I don't have the time to go into them now, but dancing is very, very powerful. It's very primitive and primal in a way. So put on your favorite song when no one's around and dance your heart out. So that's your menu of strategies and tactics for resetting your nervous system when you start to sense overwhelm is coming. But let's talk about when you're sensing overwhelm is coming. And I encourage you to find what I call tells. Just like a card player will have tells that alert other people to what's going on inside of them, you have tells about what's going on with your nervous system. Here's mine. The dishes. The dishes are what the Gottmans will call a gridlocked issue between me and my husband. I like to clean as I go along. He is a soaking type of guy. How I feel about the dishes and how I'm doing the dishes tells me everything I need to know about my nervous system. Sometimes it's no big deal, ventral vagal, we're okay, everything's fine, everything's manageable, angry scrubbing. Or sometimes I'm trying not to cry at the amount of dishes and then I'm doing the dishes again and they're not even my dishes. So this becomes my signal, not about my family, not about what my family's doing or not doing, but where I'm at. And that's the thing with tells is it's not about them, it's about you. Use it to give you information about you and then pick one of those tactics, strategies from the menu. So what are your tells? Is it how you're driving on your way home? Is it how you feel about other people in the store? Is it that suddenly you're very itchy and your clothes are uncomfortable? Is the music making you cringe? Are you starting to snap when people ask you questions? It might be that you're starting to overcharge on the caffeine credit card, or you're starting to lie that you're okay, you're fine, you don't care. Or maybe you're starting to avoid people or situations or rooms in your home. But whatever it is, find tells. Find everyday experiences that will tell you about the state of your nervous system so you can do something about it, and then do something about it while you can, while you're still in your window of tolerance. The window of tolerance is also called the window of dignity, and it's where you still have capacity, where you have strength and grace and clarity. You're not sliding into coping mechanisms or falling into stress response like fight or flight or freeze or fawn. Now, the good news is you grow and expand your capacity at the edge of the window of tolerance. And that's why those tells are so important, is you want to know when you are at the edge so you don't fall off the cliff, but also you have an opportunity to grow, to expand your capacity, to strengthen yourself from the inside out. And that's how you measure the efficacy of those tactics and strategies on the menu. Do they give you your power back? Do they give you more capacity, keep you in your window of tolerance? To help you reclaim your power, stay in your window of tolerance, and maintain your dignity, here are 3 things to look for when you're managing overwhelm. Number 1 is you increase certainty. So just like overwhelm spirals with increased uncertainty, this is creating those islands of predictability. One strategy I have for this is I make commitments, not choices. I don't decide if I'm going to meditate when I wake up in the morning. I make a commitment to meditate. Similar with the gym, similar with practices, make commitments to yourself. It's literally like building yourself little stepping stones of predictability during this river of uncertainty that is the holidays. Another commitment I encourage you to make is plan for joy. Plan things that make you happy. Maybe that is the dance break while you're cooking. Maybe it is a moment of breathing before you go into that store or to the event or you walk in the door. But plan and make commitments for joy, for your own happiness. An excellent question to ask to increase certainty is, what do I need right now? It's so simple, but so powerful. What do I need right now? And then act on it to the best of your ability. Your second antidote to overwhelm is turn down the volume on the sensory overload. This may be microdosing those moments of silence and solitude. It could be using one of the practices or tactics to dial down the nervous system. Here are excellent questions to ask to decrease the sensory overload. What is one thing I can take off my plate? I had a student, and one year during the holidays in a parking lot, due to rushing, she got into a car accident. And she said every holiday season since then, the question she asks herself over and over again is, what's one less thing I can do today? Last thing to decrease sensory overload is create a decision fatigue shield. With more activities, more people, more things, more this or that, decision fatigue is real, and it decreases the quality of your judgment and your actions. This goes hand in hand with increasing certainty. The more you can plan, the more boundaries you can create, the more strategies you have in place, the less decision fatigue there will be. Lastly, to counter overwhelm, do body-based, bottom-up recalibration practices regularly. This isn't about a 2-hour hike or even an hour-long yoga asana practice. This is about resetting your nervous system as consistently as possible, especially when you get those tells. Now, again, I probably haven't said anything radically new. It's just tricky to get yourself to do many of these things, especially when you need them most. So here are some strategies for that. Number one, borrow a body. Get a buddy to go with you on that walk, to that class, for meditation, to sit quietly and enjoy your coffee or tea. A buddy will provide accountability, but it can also help you set boundaries with family or friends. I've got to be here by this time. I'm sorry, I have to go meet so-and-so for a walk. Similarly is phone a friend. Set up a system where you can connect with someone and they're not just going to let you vent, but they're going to help you reset, recalibrate, and do what you need to do to stabilize yourself and get back in your window of tolerance, reclaim your power and dignity. Number 3 is scripts. As Brene Brown would say, clear is kind. Many of us slip into that fawn response, people pleasing, and then start over explaining and or seeking validation from others to do what we need to do. If you have a few short, sweet scripts, it's easier to stand up for yourself, have boundaries, and do what you need to do. For example, I can't do that right now. I'm going on a walk. I need to do this for myself. If you need more script ideas, Jefferson Fisher's podcast is phenomenal. So good. And you can just scroll through, find the topics or situations that are most relevant for you. We're in the home stretch. Next, here is your holiday stress relief audit. These are 3 questions to ask yourself that will help you reframe what you're doing, how you're responding, even how you're seeing things. Question number 1, what unnecessary stress am I creating? This could come from pressure you're putting on yourself for things to be a certain way. It could be a negative loop or story you're stuck in. Often we have unnecessary stress. We're taking responsibility for something that is not ours. Jefferson Fisher has this fabulous saying, observe, don't absorb. Here's a story from my life. My family, especially our little guy, can get very finicky about foods being the right temperature. So I would get very stressed out towards the end of cooking a meal with getting everyone to the table at the right time with the food the right temperature, and I would be like sweating bullets. You can see how silly this is and how I'm taking it on. And I had to see it and let go of it, observe, and do my best, of course, but not absorb, not let it affect me, because then I would sit down to dinner with my family and I was a mess. So what unnecessary stress are you creating? What can you let go of? This could be sensory stimulation, stories, activities, events, but get curious. Question 2, what have I stopped doing that stabilizes, supports, strengthens me? This may be your meditation practice, going to class, a movement practice, going on your walks, whatever it is, try to keep those stabilizing, strengthening practices in your life, especially when things get busy or challenging or stressful and you start teetering on the edge of overwhelm, because it's when you don't have those things that you're more likely to fall off the cliff into burnout. Here's a useful saying. You want to be a thermostat, not a thermometer. A thermometer is taking the temperature and reflecting what is around them. A thermostat is setting the temperature, the climate for the environment they're in. Be the thermostat. Question number 3, what are my unexamined expectations? Oh, this one can go deep. And if you're really willing to explore, it will set you free. If you need help with your unexamined expectations, Robert Svoboda has a fabulous saying, to be with reality, be with what is happening. Similarly, Byron Katie has a whole process for walking you through the truth of a moment. And often we're suffering, we're struggling because we expect things to be different than they are. We expect people to be more grateful, more cheerful, more appreciative. We expect ourselves to be more more resilient, more peaceful, more graceful, more cheerful. But when we're willing to be with what is, we can be responsive to that versus fighting with some alternate reality. So that is that, my friends. Thank you for staying with me. Again, here are your markers of overwhelm: increased uncertainty, increased sensory stimulation, and a lack of bottom-up, body-based practices to recalibrate. To help you dance with overwhelm, anxiety, and stress this holiday season, use that menu of simple strategies. When you notice yourself slipping, when your body starts giving you signs and signals, when your tell is apparent, do something. Resist the temptation to say later, or I can't, or not now, or I'll get through it, or I shouldn't feel like that. Stop all of that. That is what keeps you stuck. It keeps you in this Groundhog Day of holiday stress and overwhelm and anxiety and all the stuff you don't want. What will get you to the stuff you do want is taking those breaks, taking the time to reset. And it's about using something simple and available in the moment. Nothing big. It's not the class or the long walk or the vacation. It is those in the moment resets that will make all the difference. Stay curious, keep asking questions. What unnecessary stress am I creating? What have I stopped doing that strengthens me? What are my unexamined expectations? These are tough questions. They ask you to look inside, but they will set you free. If you want to practice with me, there are free resources on YouTube. Check out the 20-Minute Miracles. There are even better and easier to access practices in the 20-Minute Miracles app. And if you want one-on-one support, schedule a call. Even if we don't work together, I will give you insights and actionable strategies you can implement now. Thank you for being here. See you soon.